Hey there, people. Today, I want to shine a light on a new indie game that recently caught my attention. The game is called Queen's Domain. It is developed by Freshly Baked Games and published by Future Friends Games. The playable demo has just been released on Steam. If you are into retro fantasy, slower-paced action role-playing games, or titles inspired by classic dungeon crawlers, this is definitely one you will want to keep an eye on. Queen's Domain is a retro fantasy action RPG with a strong focus on brutal combat and exploration-driven traversal. It is clearly inspired by old-school games like King's Field. That inspiration is immediately noticeable. From the dark and moody environments to the deliberate movement to the feeling that every enemy encounter needs to be respected. This is not a fast or flashy power fantasy. It is a game that asks you to slow down, observe your surroundings, and think carefully before you act. Since this is only a demo, what you get here is just a small slice of the full experience. The demo allows you to explore the opening area of the game, which mainly consists of the first dungeon. Depending on how thoroughly you explore, it offers roughly 1 hour of gameplay. That might not sound like much at first, but it is more than enough to establish the game's tone, core mechanics, and overall vision. You get a solid sense of how combat works, how exploration is handled, and what kind of pace the full game is aiming for. Gameplay in Queen's Domain is very much action-oriented. However, it is important to clarify something right away. Yes, the game features a classic stamina bar. It also includes charge attacks and weapon-specific special abilities. At first glance, this might make the game sound Souls-like. On top of that, you have access to secondary throwing weapons, which add extra flexibility during combat encounters. Taken together, this suggests that the full game will likely offer a good amount of combat variety, especially as more weapons and abilities are introduced. However, despite these surface-level similarities, Queen's Domain is not a Souls-like in the traditional sense. Combat here is much slower and more methodical. There are no blocks, no dodge rolls, and most importantly, no invincibility frames to rely on. This means that every enemy attack matters. When an enemy winds up an attack, you are forced to make a real decision. Do you step back and create space, or do you commit to an attack and risk getting hit? This creates a tense and deliberate combat rhythm. Positioning and timing are far more important than fast reflexes or rolling through attacks. Exploration plays a major role as well. The environments feel intentionally oppressive and mysterious. They encourage you to move carefully and pay close attention to your surroundings. Traversal is not just about moving from one point to another. It is about learning the layout of the dungeon, spotting environmental cues, and slowly mastering the space. The retro fantasy presentation, combined with the slower pacing, really sells that classic dungeon crawling atmosphere. Fans of old-school role-playing games will likely feel right at home here. After spending time with the demo, I can honestly say that Queen's Domain looks very promising. Even in this early form, it shows a clear vision and a lot of care from the developers. The mechanics feel intentional. The atmosphere is strong. And the game knows exactly what kind of experience it wants to deliver. If the full release builds on what is shown in the demo, with more areas, enemies, weapons, and depth, this could turn into something truly special. I am definitely looking forward to seeing how Queen's Domain evolves. And I will be keeping a close eye on it when the full game finally releases.